Good morning, everybody. This is another Shinigami Art Studio video, and I want to do a video on something that's been eating at my brain for a couple days now. It's been just kind of like bothering me, that not only like the issue, but like how to express my feelings on it. And this video is basically like, okay, so you got good at hobbies, and now what? So basically, you know, getting good at hobbies is something that a lot of people will do, and that's awesome, and it is special, don't get me wrong. But as far as like what's going on with motivation, something that's not really discussed very much is like the reason where motivation comes from and why you're motivated and what will kill your motivation, because you kind of need to know this, because again, I don't see anybody really discussing this. A little bit of backstory from me. I have been kind of a quote-unquote underachiever for most of my life. I am diagnosed both with ADHD and autism. So my brain works a little differently than other people's brains do, in good ways and not so good ways. But one of the really good ways is like I have a special knack to be able to figure out how to do stuff way quicker than most people do, almost freakishly sometimes. I would say I'm pretty decent at my hobbies. I mean, for the average like non-connoisseur of minis and Gundam, they're like, oh my god, you're a prodigy. I'm not. I know I'm not, but like I'm getting pretty good. You know, this is some of my kind of more favorite stuff I've done recently. It is pretty rocking, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely doing something here. But as far as like what's going on here, what needs to take back a step and address is your brain and dopamine. So if you have ADHD, in a nutshell, it's very complex, but the simplest way to explain it, if you have ADHD, your brain does not give you dopamine to finish a task. If you have autism, your brain does not give you ADHD for social interaction. But one way or another, like we have an issue where our brains don't produce dopamine the same way other people do. But that is motivation. Dopamine is motivation, period. What does that have to do with this hobby? Well, it's a good question, and the reason we're getting to this today is like something that happened to me in an interaction I had over the last couple of days, like I said, that really kind of bothered me and ate at me. Let's just go ahead and discuss like the motivations, because like dopamine is what makes you make stuff and get you good at stuff. This is not natural talent, in my opinion. This is hard work. Like I got into Gunpla in like 2018-ish, I think. And I just, you know, because my brain does not produce dopamine from the things that most people's brains produce dopamine for, I had to find it elsewhere. And for me, it has been accomplishing stuff, making things. I do have a lot of really bad self-esteem issues because I was picked on and fucked with a lot when I was a kid. So like, accomplishment gives me good self-esteem, which gives me dopamine. Therefore, I push at this. That is why I am doing this. One of the main reasons why. The other reason that I do this stuff is the joy of teaching it. I really get excited to give people things that I make them, because I see how happy it makes them to get the things they get from me, as well as to teach them, because all of the stuff that I do here is totally teachable. Like that's why I'm making these YouTube videos. That's why I have this Instagram. It's like I want to show you guys how I do the stuff. I could just post pictures and be like, I made this, but that is not what I want. I want you to see how to make this stuff because it's fun. I feel like creatives really deserve to have the ability to have an idea in their head and have any obstacles out of the way on how to produce it. You know, that's the hardest thing as a creative, is to have this cool idea and you're like, well, I can't make it because blank. Well, like maybe you just don't know a way to create it. Maybe you don't know the methods. It's time to learn the methods. And, you know, the more methods you learn, the more obstacles you remove to make things. So, yeah, I mean, money can be a motivator. It's definitely not my motivator. Like some people, you know, well, most people do get dopamine reactions from getting money. But I mean, like the thing is like this for me is kind of sacred ground. I do not want to bring money into this sphere if it at all sacrifices something, because I did commission work for a while and like it made me hate it. Like I quit doing stuff, making stuff for months, and I didn't even realize I quit making stuff. And it's like, oh, it's because when I'm not making the things I want to make, when I'm making something somebody else makes and I'm feeling the pressure of them like wanting things a specific way, the dopamine is gone. I will not produce. So that's a problem for me, because this is my source of joy. This is one of my main sources of joy. You take that out of the equation and I'm not happy. So that had to go. You know, I had an interaction with someone recently where they're like, they come in and they see all this stuff that I've made, and their first reaction is like, you got to sell this stuff, you got to move this stuff, you got to find a way to make money off this. And it's like, you don't, I appreciate that they care. I know their motivations. They want me to have money and stuff, and that's cool. I appreciate that, but they don't really understand what they are meaning when they say that. And I guess the way to explain it, because a lot of us who are creatives that make this kind of stuff, you're going to deal with this from your family. They're going to be like, you need to be making money, blah, blah, blah. They don't understand, it's not just easy to like, oh, I'm a cash machine now because I make cool Gundams. They don't get that. But the other thing, I guess to explain it in their world, because they may be not a creative, is you tell them like, mom, dad, brother, sister, uncle, imagine that you work your regular 9-to-5 job, and then when you're off work, you watch, American Idol. And imagine that you all of a sudden you're really good at predicting who's going to win American Idol, and then somebody's like, oh my God, you're really good at predicting the winner of American Idol. You need to monetize this and make a lot of money. And then all of a sudden you find yourself, you have to write like 4 or 5 page papers or articles on the internet about who's going to win. And then, as time goes on, you really don't like writing articles. Like, that just kind of sucks, And then you realize one week, like, oh, I really am not looking forward to watching my show anymore just because I hate writing so much. This has become a drag. And then it's like, well, what is your escape from your 9-to-5? Like, you just lost your source of dopamine. You're no longer as happy as you used to be. So that, my normie friends and family, is why I'm very cautious about introducing money into this hobby. And I hope that makes it make sense. Now, there are other motivators. Fame is definitely a motivation, and you can get that when you get good at this stuff. People will start to know who you are, and I'm sure you have influencers that you watch, and they more than likely get dopamine from the fame that they get from making the stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what makes them happy, and that's probably why they're good at making the stuff and being known for what they do. So that, of course, needs to be factored in. But whatever these are, whatever your motivator is, you need to know yourself and know what makes you happy. Now, there are plenty of people who make the stuff and they make a lot of money, right? And that's great. Their money may be their dopamine producer, so that may be why they're able to do this and stay happy. But you've got to know yourself, and you've got to know like what makes you happy. Otherwise, you are probably going to fail. Everyone I've ever met that does this stuff that's gotten good, if they're not knowing what makes them happy, what motivates them, they fail. When they're more self-aware of what brings them joy, what you need to be aware of is like, whatever your motivation is, when you will know that feeling when you cut open the box of your kit and you're like, I've been ready to do this for 2 days. That is the feeling. That's what you want to feel. That's when you know you're good to go. There are other factors in this as well. As someone who suffered from depression can fuck with this formula really bad. So that's a thing as well. So don't think that this is like a guarantee for everyone to always have success. There are other factors outside of it, but the important ones for you to be aware of as a creator of stuff is what I just said here. But yeah, and I mean, like, this stuff I don't think is really special that you're seeing here. I guess it is, but my point is, like, I painted this Gundam. This is probably my favorite Gundam that I painted. It's really great. I like the color schemes and stuff that I did on it. I'm very happy with what I pulled off here on so many levels. Like, my water slide designs turned out great. Again, I could do a whole theory class on that at this point, I think. This is probably one of my favorite minis that I've made. This D&D mini, this Frogman on a battle frog. It's really dope. I learned a lot of stuff with this. That can be a whole other class in itself. I'm now having a lot of success in filament printing. You almost will not see anybody able to print filament prints on this level of detail and cleanness. It's another animal that I just attacked and figured it out. And I'm sitting here telling you, like, this stuff is not special. This stuff is not special. What's in my head is special. I could pretty much take anything at this point and figure out what it is. If I really enjoy it, I can spend the time, figure it out, get good at it like I've done for these 3 things here, and continue to do it, which is why this is not necessarily special. What is special is what's within you. You, the creator, that's what's special. Your motivation, your drives, your skill, that is what is actually special. That's probably another reason why I don't really care. Like, once the stuff is done, I'm not that excited. It's not that big of a thing for me once it's done. It's the journey. It's the learning a new skill. That's what's up for me. Once it's done, it's done. I have my pictures, I have the memory, and then it's like, if someone wants it, I'll probably give it to them. If I sell it, I'm not going to sell for very much because, again, my dopamine, my motivation, it's where I'm at, man. Anyway, I'm trying not to ramble too long. I hope this was a very informative and educational video and kind of helping you understand some things that a lot of people do not talk about. just know yourself, know what motivates you, know what makes you happy, because if you figure out what gives your brain dopamine when you're doing these hobbies and you chase that, you will more than likely grind harder, push to get better, make better stuff, and be more happy with yourself as a creator. But that's just my 2 cents. It's just my opinion. So feel free to drop your opinion in the comments if you have an opinion, but this is it for today.